main focus point today is about how Goldman Sachs has upped their recession odds from 20% just a couple months ago to now 35%. And they're blaming things like a tax-like impact, meaning they're saying that tariffs are a tax on the public. And they're saying it's a tax-like impact on real disposable income and consumer spending. And then on top of that, they're saying, hey, this is also unnerving markets and tightening financial conditions because of this uncertainty. Good example is the average company is going to hire less, going to invest less due to this uncertainty and how that impacts the broader economy and their business. And that means banks are likely to lend less as well because they'll have the same type of trepidations. And so that tightens financial conditions. And lastly, they talk about what I just said, which is the lack of investment. I always cite this formula: C plus I plus G plus X. That's the formula for GDP. Too many people focus on the C, which is the consumer, which is the majority of the contribution to the GDP. So very fair. But I and G are very important as well. And I is investment by corporations in plant, property, and equipment. And they're going to invest less when there is uncertainty. And so when people say the market doesn't like uncertainty, it's actually businesses don't like uncertainty. So clearly this is a negative for businesses. Now, President Trump has said he plans to raise the a specific amount of $600 to $1 trillion over the next year in tariffs. And that implies the tariffs will be anywhere from 18 to 30% of current import volumes. Now, naturally, if you raise the price of anything, which what a tariff does, there will be less volume. So it's probably going to be, if he's being accurate in his estimation, at the higher end of that range, because the volumes will drop. Now, what Goldman Sachs sees is the combined impact of fiscal, meaning Doge cutting spending, immigration, meaning less labor coming into the country, and tariff policies will be estimated to subtract 1.2% from GDP over the next year. That's not small. We're not China, where we can grow 5, 6, 7, 8%, and you cut 1%, it's still a nice hefty clip. Our cruising rate on the economy is somewhere around 2% of growth. Now they also, and I definitely agree with this, they do see a Fed rate cut in both July, September, and November. And it would not shock me to see even more. And then they also see the PCE, core PCE, personal consumption expenditures. This is the actual inflation gauge that the Fed cares about. They see that going up to 3.5% in the back half of the year. Their prior forecast was 3%. So what you see here is a stagflationary prognostication. And I have to say, I generally agree with this. It's hard to stomach the not just the tariffs, but the uncertainty around the tariffs. Trump's negotiation tactics, you could argue they work well in settings like negotiating real estate. But how well does it work in a dynamic economy where companies need to make dynamic decisions around investment and hiring? And it just mucks up the clarity of the economic future broadly and specific industries, because that's another aspect of this. It's some industries might get hit harder than others and likely will. Now, Trump has said he wants a brighter economic outlook by lowering the price of energy. Well, the saber rattling around Iran and Russia, not helping that clearly. Cutting taxes. They've talked about it, but there's really nothing concrete. And it doesn't seem to be on the front burner for them. And that would be clearly another aspect that would bring clarity for next year. So if I'm him, I'd be tackling that really fast. Now he wants to also cut red tape. Now you could argue with Doge, he's doing some of that. But, those things are more at the margin than anything that really is transformative. And then ultimately, this is all, there's theories that they're trying to weaken the economy so that they can lower interest rates and start to refinance the $6.7 trillion in US debt that comes due over the next year or so. That's probably the best argument I see right now for the current path of the economy.